Guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. A lot to talk about today. We're going to be taking a look at Derby over the weekend and how many suspensions we saw over that. We're also going to be taking a look at Essendon and the deja vu sort of scenario we've gone through right now of them dropping off towards the end of the season. We'll of course be taking a look at AFL tips, AFL fantasy breakdown and much more. So let's roll the intro and get straight into it. And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be more than just AFL this next season.
It's at the handle at the back, Nick Dankos to get the pies home! He's done it! So guys, still in the team this week. He's retained his spot. My brother Jack is with us for the podcast today. You got a week off. You got a week off of work, so that's why you're here.
Yeah.
You didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Well, you should be happy. Your team's actually doing alright the last few weeks. Port Adelaide.
Yeah, just getting our hopes up again, so...
So they can quickly be diminished.
Yeah.
Quickly be smashed down.
This week, and then we'll get... Then I'll say that, then
Yeah, well, it's both of our teams this week. We'll get into that a little bit later in the tips, but... Very big game for both teams now, isn't it? Probably the biggest we've actually had between both of our teams in quite a while. Yeah, I would say. Well,
we were in the 4 at the start of the round, but then back to 7 after everyone else wins.
Yeah, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But I did want to take a look at the suspensions first of all. It wasn't a lot over the weekend, but I did want to take a look at the derby. So did you see any of the derby on the weekend?
I saw the highlights of.
Did you see the melee?
Yeah, I thought it was back to the 90s.
I liked it. Now, there were a couple of things I didn't really like. A couple of players, like 2v1ing players, and I didn't really like that when, I think it was Josh Tracy was like leaning on the neck of one of the West Coast players. You didn't mind it. You arsehole. I don't really like that. But I did like that there was a bit of fight in it, because I felt like, especially the last 4 or 5 years, the derby's been very low grade, or not very much hot fire around it. I guess probably since Andrew Gaff and Andrew Brayshaw.
Yeah,
probably. That's probably when
last time it was the big one.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously not what we want to see.
No.
But that sort of stuff, pushing and shoving and a big melee. From the fallout of that, we have seen 18 players either fined or suspended throughout that game. Now, have you seen this graphic? Or seen this?
I have seen it, but yeah.
So we've got 3 players that have currently got a week. Now, one is challenging at this stage. We've got 3... the 3 players that are getting a 1-match ban is Jack Petrocelli, Hutchinson, and Nat Fife. Now, Fife is challenging his 1-match ban, so we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But we've also got fines for Jinby, Brayshaw, Fife, Ryan, Williams, Allen, Jack Williams, Marek, Hunt. God, I'm good at this. Ryan, Amos, Tracy, Frederick, Wagner, and Emmett. I think that's Emmett. Is that Emmett? I think that's Emmett. We'll give that to Emmett.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Good on me. Fucking hell. I got the knowledge in this game. So Nat Fife is going to be challenging his case. I'm unsure about the other 2 West Coast players. But looking at it right now, trying to find the Nat Fife.
That's right. He's in the 450.
So he's in the forward 50. He's knocked the player down behind the play. So I'm looking at it right now. He gets... Oh, it's a punch to the stomach. Yeah. Okay. So I'll be surprised if that doesn't get a week, to be honest. Do you think you get away with it?
Yeah.
Well, he's not up for the Brownlow, so he should be making a week now. Well, it doesn't always matter if you're Isaac.
Who knows these days? He's just toss of a coin.
Yeah, I mean, the Sydney Swans play was just hard done by. They're always hard done by the Sydney Swans. I'm going to get so many comments. Anyway, so that's really the only thing that happened over the weekend on the suspension front. Most of the other stuff was fines, but I did like that the fire of the derby was back. Because I think that the derby's been kind of like a non-watch, really, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Because, it's basically the only team that's been challenging in Perth for at least the last 4 years has been Fremantle. Before, and even when West Coast were up there, Fremantle were a lot lower. Like after 2014, they made the grand final and they missed the finals the year after. So in West Coast, when they were up there in 2018, obviously they fell down pretty quickly. So... It's really been a while since both Perth teams or WA teams have been up the top. So if you're not going to have both teams competing for, big points, I think that's how they're going to get more people to watch it. And I'm not saying that, they have to go out there and fucking bash each other. But, yeah. I mean, I did like the fight from West Coast in the first half. Fremantle did well to just fight back in the second half and take it over again. But yeah, looking at the results over the weekend, where do you think Sydney are at right now? I thought that we would have a down period, but kind of getting a little bit. It's kind of getting a little bit close to the end of the season, and there's been a few injuries for Sydney, but they were terrible last week against the Bulldogs. That was the worst they've played all year.
Yeah, well, when you look at the result, the fact is that the only time since the finals last year you've lost by less than a goal.
Yeah.
Every single time, then you lose by 50 points.
Mm.
Yeah, it kind of shows that. Well, no one could see that coming, really. Like you thought it would be competitive, but the Bulldogs, you just didn't know which one's going to show up, and then the Swans just didn't. In a way.
No, I agree, and I think that was a very disappointing performance from Sydney. And they come up against Port Adelaide this week, which is a team they've struggled against for a very long time now. So I'll be interested to see how that game goes out. But looking on the, injury/team front, Sydney will be welcoming back James Rowbottom on Saturday night. Thank fuck for that, because we've missed him the last couple of weeks. But there is a surprising one that Sydney may be actually going to rest Brodie Grundy. So I'm not surprised on the fact that Brodie Grundy probably does need a rest before the end of the season. And the fact is that because Sydney had such a good start, they do have the capability that they can rest a player or two. And Peter Adams actually had a good game in the VFL on the weekend, so he would come in. Interesting that he would play against his former side as his one game in the season.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time he played against Port Adelaide. Oh, that was fucking dreadful.
He cost you guys that one.
Yeah, he cost us that one. So we'll be interested to see how that goes. On the other one, though, on Collingwood, it does seem that Craig McRae expects Bo McQuarrie, Oleg Markov, and Nathan Kruger to be available for Scott Pendlebury's 400th game. But Jordan De Goey is unlikely to return against Carlton. Another big game. Whoever made that scheduling error deserves to be fucking sacked.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
I mean, obviously, look, this was made at the start of the year, so...
No, it wasn't.
Oh, no, it was made halfway through the year.
Yeah, it was made about 8 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But when they have 2 Friday night games this week...
Is there a reason for that, or just fun?
We'll probably find out at the end of before Thursday or Friday why the reasoning behind that is, but...
I don't actually mind the idea of 2 Friday night games. I think that's been the big thing for people who want a third WA team is because they could have a second Friday night game, which I don't mind. But, it is the Gold Coast versus West Coast. Who the fuck's watching that?
Yeah,
but also, Gold Coast can't win away from home, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I just don't know what they've put that game on for. They could have put any other games and put it on Saturday night. Instead, they put 2 very good games.
Yeah, obviously I'm a little bit annoyed because I would like to watch Collingwood versus Carlton. That's going to be 95,000 at the ground you would expect. Yeah. So not only is the Scott Pendlebury's 400th game, but it's the biggest rivalry probably in the game. So yeah, I'm very annoyed at that. We'll be going to the Swansport game, but yeah, I'm sure that'll be a pretty packed crowd as well, as long as it's not fucking raining.
Yeah. I've looked at it at the moment. It's all right.
No, it's still going to be cold.
There's a good chance it will probably be.
Yeah. That's pretty disappointing for Collingwood. We'll get into our tips a little bit later. But another interesting news that came a little bit earlier in the week was the fact that Katy Perry has been announced to be headlining the Grand Final entertainment. So, my favourite song has got to be... Is it Raw? Is that what it's called? Okay. So that's what I'm expecting one of her songs to be.
I reckon it'll be the... Is it the halftime? She's doing halftime, isn't it? Or is it the halftime game? I don't even know.
She's doing the pre-game entertainment.
Oh, well.
So pre-game and... I think they do it twice, don't they? Usually? They do the post-game as well?
Yeah, because they do a concert now, because it has to be more like the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, alright, so what player do you think is going to be... Who do you want to see do the Jack Drewell sort of headline act? I feel like if it's Sydney, I'd like Justin McInerney to do it. I feel like he's up for the job. That's my pick for the...
If it's... say it's Brisbane, I think it'll be Loman.
Yeah, I think Cam Rayner's got it in him. Cam Rayner. I don't mind that. So this is the headline act, obviously. Yeah. Next to Katy Perry. You're going to hear me roar. I feel like that could be a Cam Rayner kind of moment. Or Charlie Cameron, maybe. No, he can't do that. He has to sing...
They
have to sing John Denver. John Denver. Yeah. They did that last year at the grand final. The Brisbane supporters, I think, were singing it during the game. That was actually very cool. Who else? Carlton. I don't even know.
You can't even pick that one.
Yeah, I know.
There's not many of those
boring cunts.
Yeah, it's just two. Yeah.
Well, if Hawthorn can make it, I want to see Jack Gunnavan do it. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, the wizard and him do the duet.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd like that. How do you feel about Katy Perry? I mean, I think that the NRL...
I think it's a better choice than they have done in previous years. Like 95% of people know who that is.
Yeah. I mean, they're never getting Taylor Swift or anything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they'd have to pay a huge amount of money. But, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't heard exactly... I mean, I don't follow her music as much as, like... I mean, you obviously hear the radio hits, but I haven't really heard much about Katy Perry in a while.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. No. I feel like that's a bit of a safer choice. I mean, she's probably known by most of the younger generation and the older generation. So I think that's where they all kind of went. The NRL usually focus on like old Aussie bands or whatever, or Aussie pits or whatever. I guess this AFL usually try and target the big names from out of the country.
The AFL?
Yeah.
Oh, they try to, but then they go with someone that...
Oh, I don't mind. I think they went with Ed Sheeran in 2018 or 2019 back then. So I don't mind that. I feel like Ed Sheeran's a bit of a weird choice, but I feel like Adele's got to come in. Imagine it. No, we can't have Adele in the grand final. That would fucking suck. Not because she's bad, but I don't think that's really rev up sort of music.
You need some... Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I feel like that's more likely. I don't mind Katy Perry as a grand final entertainment. I feel like there'd be a couple of older guys like, oh, it's so good, so shit, because she sings girls' music. It's like, bro, I'm sure you've bobbed your head on the radio to a Katy Perry song. It's okay. It doesn't make you homosexual because you've nodded your head to a Katy Perry song. It's fine. But another news story over the week as well was the fact that the Giants were the sole team that came out and asked the AFL to request names on the back of jumpers, and the AFL rejected it. So, apparently, the AFL.com.au understands the Giants have recently pitched the league for surname players donned on the back of the jumpers in hope of setting an industry standard in the coming years. It's understood that the Giants have made a proposal independently and have talked to the league that they would like to forge ahead with their plan regardless of whether it was introduced across the entire competition or not. So... Obviously, I think it happened in one game, like 6 or 7 years.
I think it was in one round. I think.
Oh, one round. Oh,
but they did a trial a few times when obviously Port played over in China. They tried that a couple of times when that was there, but I think they tried it for one round 1 year, and then for my opinion, I just don't think it works because you've got too many players on the field. It's too fast paced. What's the point? You're not going to see who the names are. Most of the time, the umpires know who the players are anyway, so that's not really the issue. I understand that for the viewer on the TV, some people want to see it. I don't mind the idea, but it is a little bit different as well because, like on soccer shirts or whatever, you get the whole back or whatever. But with the Guernsey, it's cut off a little bit because of your shoulders. Yeah, and it's not. It's obviously a singlet sort of wear, and players like. Radicalia is not going to fit very easily on the back of it, so it's not really any point in doing it anyway. Well, you look at it, like say the tank tops, you look at the basketball, there's only 10 people on the field, on the court. Sorry, and you look at it like that. Well, they don't even have, they do have names on the and then you look at, the football, when there's 36 people on the field. Football. Footy. Oh, fucking... Yeah, sorry. But then you look at... It's been a long day. So like, you look at those, they're both tank tops. Yeah. Jerseys, whatever. You just got too many people on the field to really... Like, if you're looking at, say, on TV, I think there's just too many people with the fast pace of the... I feel like, to be honest, if you're going to follow the sport anyway, you're probably going to know the names pretty quickly and the numbers that they're associated with them. You look at it, like... To be honest, 90% of people will know their team by the numbers. Yeah, by the numbers and how they look anyway. Like I listed every single player on that list there from Fremantle and West Coast. Yeah, and, but you look at but I mean we're pretty knowledgeable in the sport. Yeah, like you can look at even the commentators. They can't even like the Victorian commentators can't even name all the Western Australian teams by the numbers. Yeah, so they fuck it up all the time. I mean, they're paid to do it. Yeah. I'll do it for you. It's for free, guys. So how good am I? I'm so fucking professional. I hate people get angry at me in the fucking comments for doing the commentary. Oh, you forgot the fucking name. Bro, I don't fucking know how many goals Lockie Cowan's kicked in a game. Fuck off. Anyway, so moving on to Essendon. So we did touch on them a little bit last week, but we probably went more into Collingwood. And
Even though Collingwood aren't doing much better at the moment, they did beat Richmond. What they freaking do? But
Yeah, well, they're back now.
well, they are back. Yeah, I mean, I think they're premiership favourites. I feel like they're going to take the cup from now. But Essendon, everyone was on the bandwagon for them towards the middle of the year, thinking that they were going to be back. They're the team to, not only win a final, but they could keep on going throughout the whole way. Maybe I did fall for it. I fell for it a bit. And I feel like everyone kind of did. They were like, oh, well, they can't do it again. Surely this is going to be where they go. They may fall off a little bit. But now they're at the 8.
Yeah.
Something's gone wrong here, and it's not Brad Scott's fault. Well, it's not Brad Scott's fault, but it's more than just, like, the coach.
Yeah.
It's got to be the culture. It's got to be the atmosphere. It's got to be the higher-ups. It's got to be something, because they're bringing in new players. They're bringing in new coaches, and yet the same result is occurring. So they're sitting, I think, 9th on the ladder. 2 points out of the 8, I'm pretty sure.
10th, I think, because Hawthorn.
So, Hawthorn are in 9th at the moment.
Yeah.
They can't even let Hawthorn in, which is a fucking joke. I'd like to see Hawthorn actually in the 8 right now, but anyway. They are sitting 10th on the ladder. They're 2 points out of the 8, but they're also 24% behind the Bulldogs, who are currently in the 8. So they're which doesn't really matter because they've obviously got that draw. Why is it on the website that their Footscray still?
Because this is rivalry round for them, so they changed their name.
Is Melbourne their rival? Is it? Or
No,
is this their heritage round?
Yeah, it's like their rivalry round, heritage round.
Okay.
So
That's two different things.
they're allowed to do it and put Adelaide wear their freaking belts. But
Alright, so we're not getting into that. They're
yeah,
not wearing it against the Swans anyway, it would clash. That's the big reason why they don't wear it, because it would crash against a team that they're not even fucking playing.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. So they're sitting 10th currently, which, isn't very good. That's the first time they've been outside of the 8 since round 5. And remember, I think it was round 5 they lost in Gather round to the Power, which was probably their worst. Well, was their worst loss before this last month, also. So looking at it right now, they got smashed against St Kilda on the weekend. Embarrassing. I went for Essendon. I had a feeling that St Kilda were going to win this game, but I was like, no, Essendon are higher. They're going to be fine. They can't do this again. They got absolutely smashed by a team that can't score by 50 points. You can't lose against St Kilda by 50 points. You can lose to them, because Sydney did, but you can't lose by 50 points still.
They didn't throw a punch.
Yeah, especially after that second half. The second half was embarrassing. Now, looking at the injury list, so you're thinking of players who they can try and replace here. Really not a lot. Not that's coming back this week anyway. So their injury list currently has Kane Baldwin out for the season. El Hully, he was a pickup in the mid-season draft. He's got 2 weeks. He won't be back. Guelphy out for 3 weeks. Hunter, who's just a rookie. Zach Reid, he'll be out for the majority of the season with a pectoral injury. And then obviously probably the biggest one who would be in the team is Jordan Ridley, who's out for 3 weeks. So other than Guelphy and Ridley, no one else is really out of that. Yeah, that's what I would say. And even then, Guelphy probably on the outer. It's probably only Ridley, really, is the main thing. Now, looking at their reserves on the weekend, you got the likes of Hind, who had a pretty decent game. Nick Bryan. Interesting if he would come in. Sam Draper's not exactly doing massively well.
Well, you saw that against Melbourne when they really should have dominated because they didn't have a ruckman at the time, and Draper just actually got...
Yeah, he got beaten.
He just got beaten from a nobody.
So maybe it's time for Nick Bryan to get the number one spot.
Or you give it to Todd Goldstein and see what happens.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that he wasn't playing in the reserves on the weekend. Did he play in the AFL team? Because I didn't even notice he played for the Bombers on the weekend, because it felt like fucking ad, man. Could you fuck off, please? I just don't think that he was really much of an impact on that game. I don't even think he did play, did he? No, he didn't. So I don't know where he was. He didn't play in the VFL or the AFL last week, and he wasn't on the injury list. So, I'm a bit surprised by that. Maybe he just got rested altogether. I can't really remember. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that they give Goldstein the go. I feel like he's been their best performing ruckman all year. But Sam Draper's not playing well enough to be in that team at the moment.
No.
So that would be an option. Maybe give Bryan that go. Will Setterfield, a bit surprised that he's not in the team, but
I think he's come back from a big injury, so they've given him a few weeks in the VFL, but I think he needs to be in that team. Yeah, but I mean, you've already got Caldwell and Durham who play that sort of role anyway. You look at the fact that Parrish came back in this week, and what it was always going to do was diminish Durham and Caldwell because the midfield rotation.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Caldwell no, he wasn't really injured against the Crows, but he didn't really have the best game on the weekend. And Parrish, I feel like he's a little bit too much like Merritt, and I feel like Merritt's obviously he's way better. So I feel like that they. Not that they should have got rid of him last year. I don't want to make that... Oh, there's a big trade rumour, guys. Darcy Parish is on the move. Just like when they made Cam Zurhaar fucking... When did Tom Morris report that Cam Zurhaar was leaving? Like a week before the season?
No, it didn't happen, remember? He never gets it wrong.
Sure, he just deleted the tweet
Yeah, he
quickly.
deleted it. He's like, oh, shit. I don't know where that went.
Every single fucking thing. We can talk about Clayton Oliver in a minute, so... but that's another one. Setterfield, Stardust as well. Played a decent game in the reserves. Ben Hobbs, I'm a bit surprised. He was big in their team last year. Hasn't really played much. Sam Wiedemann, what the fuck's he even on the list anymore? He didn't even kick a goal on the weekend. Looking at it right now, there's not a lot on the like periphery to really look at other than Nick Hind. I don't know why he's not in there. When they were at their best, he was playing off that half back and playing really well for him. So I don't know. I mean, I guess they're not in the best form right now. So obviously you do have to switch and swap. But I feel like you got to start. I feel like Brad Scott's got to make the big changes this week. At this point, they're not making finals, which I mean is
they're not going to, not now. With the fact is that the top 8 I think is set.
Looking at it right now, they've got Fremantle at home, Gold Coast at home, Sydney at home, and then the Lions away. So right now, Fremantle at home, they can win that. Gold Coast at home, you would expect them to win that because of the Gold Coast, how poor they've been away this year. The Swans, they're in terrible form. Who knows how they're going to be in 3 weeks, but you could give them that. The only game they shouldn't be winning is against Brisbane away.
Because they've actually got a good record at Optus Stadium, Essendon.
Yeah.
So they should, if they're in good form, I'd probably be tipping them in the first 3 games. To be honest,
they're playing Fremantle at the MCG.
Yeah.
You said Optus.
Oh, sorry, but yeah. Well, Freo don't really have a great record at the MCG.
Yeah.
Really. And but if they were playing good football, I'd probably be tipping Freo in the next tipping Essendon in the next 3 weeks. But they're in terrible form. Yeah. They just can't kick a goal, and their defence is being exposed.
Yeah, well, looking at it as well, they have currently got the 4th worst percentage in the league, the Bombers, and the only 3 that are below them are the West Coast, North Melbourne, and Richmond, and there is a stark difference between them right now.
Yeah.
Their percentage, the highest is West Coast with 68%, and then the next one is Essendon with 95%. So there is a stark difference there. Now, it's more on their defense, I would say, that's conceding. 1,663 points this year. That is I think it's the 4th worst defense. Yeah, it is. Just the 4th worst defense. It's funny that Carlton's got a pretty bad defense as well, but their attack's so good that they've made them look a little bit better. But, yeah, I mean, could you see Essendon somehow scraping into the 8 now? They've lost the last 3 games. I think they've only won 2 of their past 7.
Not with the fact is that the top 7 is probably set because they're 2 games clear.
Did you just... you put Port in there. You've just...
knock
on wood.
I think the only team that was vulnerable was the Dogs. Knock on wood that Port make the 8.
Well,
but you look at it...
The Dogs have the last 3 weeks, they have beaten 3 top teams.
Yeah.
So, do you think the Dogs are vulnerable right now?
Not the way they're playing.
So who's the vulnerable team? Port Adelaide?
I think it's Port Adelaide and Geelong.
You still think Geelong could miss the 8?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you're making a big call.
I think the fact is that no one is tagging Stewart at the moment. He's played a different role. All he's doing is playing centre bounces. Then he goes plays his role.
Yeah.
But I think Port Adelaide and Geelong are the 2 most vulnerable teams.
I think the Giants have found their form back now. They've looked a lot better than their last 4 games.
I think the games at home, Jesse Hogan will dominate.
Yeah, well, they're in the second best. They've got the second best form right now out of any team on the form guide right now because Brisbane have obviously done best. If Hawthorn didn't lose against Geelong, they'd be in the best form in anyone. So, looking at it right now, it's been a very even season, I would say. Yeah,
well, you look at it just based on last week. Last week, Port Adelaide win the first game of the round. They're 3rd. By the end of the round, they're 7th.
Yeah, exactly. And looking at it as well, on the teams outside the 8 right now, you got Hawthorn, who have been one of the best teams basically since round 6. Essendon, who were a really good team this year. Melbourne, who, you know, have had their ups and downs. And Collingwood, who are obviously the reigning premiers. So there's 12 teams, like, right now who could make finals. And if Collingwood were to make finals, you wouldn't want to play them.
No, if they get into form, you wouldn't want to play them in an elimination final.
Yeah. Now, the Gold Coast are probably... you'd say they're too far gone now. Which is disappointing, but that's really how it goes. So, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of a look into things right now on the predictions for the rest of the year. I think the most vulnerable team, and I'm sorry, but I think it is Port Adelaide. But we'll get into it a bit in the tips, but I think they win this week. I'll just say that now. Let's move into the Flog of the Week before we move into our tips, though. So, Flog of the Week, of course, guys, we go into... someone in the week who has just been an absolute wanker. Someone who needs to be called out because they've just done something wrong and they're getting away with it. Mostly it's usually directed at the media, someone in there, or I think occasionally a player. You even got a nomination, which was 100% deserved. If you didn't see it, this would have been an earlier episode in the year. He said that Alex Pearce was a shit defender.
Well, he keeps on getting injured, so...
yeah. What a fucking loser.
They won't go away if he doesn't play the finals.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's still not shit. So, I mean, that's the call you made, you moron, anyway. So, this week, it's directed more at... there's not an exact individual who I can give this to, but it is... I don't know if it's an organisation, but a department of the AFL, I would say. The AFL MRO. Now, the reason why they are the Flog of the Week this week is because this happened late last week, I believe. But... in a competing podcast, because it's very competing, obviously the Green Room.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're competing for listeners, of course. Fucking it. Anyway, the AFL came out with a statement reprimanding Tom Green for saying that the MRO and or the tribunal is a disgrace and is ruining the game. Hey, if the player is saying that, maybe take that on fucking board, that a player in the league that they play in, that you are a part of, that you are running, is saying you are doing stuff wrong, instead of just going, oh, let's fucking fine him, let's fucking reprimand him.
He said a bad word.
He said a bad word, he said mean words to me. How about you take it on board and say, hey, the players of our league are saying they don't understand, they disagree, they are a disgrace, and they are making mistakes. Instead of taking that on board, you're going to sit there and fucking sook about it, and fucking reprimand the player of your league for doing that? Like, could you imagine that? I think it's very similar to how if a person at work makes a complaint about the workplace, not that they say, oh, it's a shithole. Like, they're actually making like and I guess that's maybe what he was, like, you know, that's kind of what he was saying, but I don't think that's what he was saying. He was saying it's a disgrace of what they're doing. The place isn't run properly. So if someone said that and was trying to make some criticism on it, you know, take that on board. That's what a good workplace would do. You take it on board. You don't reprimand the person for saying it. Like, I mean, if this was fair work, I'm sure they'd fucking get sued out their ass. Because it's the AFL, they're allowed to. I just think that's crap. So, not even a big one this week. I mean, we can read the statement. The AFL wishes to advise a GWS player in Tom Green has been given a formal reprimand. Fuck you, bro. For breaching AFL Rule 19.18C. Excessive, unfair, unreasonable public comment and criticism.
Unreasonable.
Well, I don't think he's actually breached this rule, to be honest. Because it wasn't excessive. I think it's 100% true. It wasn't unfair. Unreasonable.
Well,
I feel like he has a reason to say it.
He's got a reasonable, yeah.
Public comment and criticism. How is that a rule that's allowed, either? Like, you're not allowed to make a public comment that criticises the AFL. That's so shit.
Because, like Journo says, like, oh, why don't they speak their mind? Well, they can't because they're legally bound not to do it.
Yeah, and anyway, he says, comments made in the Green Room podcast. Make sure to go listen, guys, next week. Actually, a pretty decent listen. He does it with Jacob Gaynor, the media manager for GWS Giants. Absolute legend. Absolute king. Did you see the thing they did about the swimming and stuff? Oh, that was pretty cool. Like, good content when they did like a swim in the pool. 50 metre swim or whatever, and Tom Green won, which was very unfair. Obviously, he was going to fucking win, but I think they made like a bet. I think you had to get a tattoo or something. Anyway, during the podcast in which the comments have since been removed, they had to remove the whole podcast because he said that. Get fucked. Green made a number of comments in relation to the AFL MRO and tribunal process and its members. These included the following words, or similar. So they didn't even get the or similar. You fucking losers. That the match review officer and or the AFL tribunal is a disgrace and is ruining the game. That got you so fucking butthurt. Fucking hell. I bet you there's so many bosses around the fucking country that get a lot more than they're a disgrace and ruining the workplace.
So that's probably a nice comment.
Yeah, exactly. Green was sent a please explain, and he has undeservedly apologised for his comments and has acknowledged poor judgment on his behalf. Fuck off. Look, obviously I'm talking out of place. It's not my place to say it, but there is no fucking way he meant that. And he doesn't have to mean it. He just said it because he said he's sorry, because if he doesn't, he probably gets a week.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous. Get over yourself. With his actions and his actions falling below the standards of conduct expected by the GWS Giants in the AFL. Oh my god. It's so ridiculous that he has had to come out and apologise for saying something that is so fucking true that anyone in the country right now who watches the footy would say. Now, obviously, this was in relation to the tackle with his teammate for Bedford and obviously Charlie Cameron, but I'm sure it was more for Bedford. But the fact is, the committee or whatever, the appeals committee, they thought it was fucking wrong too.
Yeah.
They completely switched it. This was a 3-week ban for both those players, thrown out the door in fucking minutes. So it's just a joke. But anyway, AFL MRO, the match review officer, if that's Michael Christian, maybe he should be getting it. But I feel like it's not just directed at him. So the AFL MRO / Tribunal have got the Flog of the Week this week. We're actually going to come together soon and actually look at what we're going to give the Flog of the Year, because we're getting towards the end of it. So obviously at the end of the year, guys, we'll be doing our live stream of the Boundary Riders votes from the review. I'm sure you guys watch it. It's just such great content, obviously. Fucking, I don't miss them. I don't miss a minute of it. Anytime it comes out, I mean, I'm the one who makes it, but still, I've not missed a minute of it all year. But yeah, when we do that, we're going to be giving a bunch of awards or whatever, like Goal of the Year from... I think we're going to pick a Goal of the Year and the Mark of the Year from something that we have done, like on a live stream. Like, Mark's pretty much locked up at this stage.
Yes.
The Goal of the Year is up there. I think there could be some interesting ones. I know the Isaac Rankin one was a big goal. None of them come to my head fucking right now. Of course. Isaac Rankin, there was a Jack Ginnivan goal I remember that was really good. But I think the Mark of the Year is pretty well sewn up, unless we see something pretty massive in the next couple of weeks.
It'll probably be the actual... It should be probably the Mark of the Year.
Yeah, it's up there. But yeah, I think we'll do that. And then we're going to be giving away the Flog of the Year as well. So I think that's what we'll do. And I don't know, maybe we'll do a giveaway as well. Fucking got us extra cash. we'll give away something as well. We'll probably also do our tipping and AFL fantasy league stuff and the prizes for that as well, probably. We'll announce them anyway, but I mean, I'm sure you guys will know who won. You'll fucking be there. So guys, let's get into our tips for this week. So we start on Friday night with 2 games to start Friday, and I've gone the Bulldogs over Melbourne and the Gold Coast Suns to beat the West Coast Eagles. On Saturday, I've gone North Melbourne to beat the Tigers, the Cats to beat the Crows, the Blues to beat Collingwood, and Port Adelaide to beat the Swans. And on Sunday, I've gone Hawthorn to beat the Giants, the Dockers to beat Essendon, and then the Lions to beat St Kilda. What have you gone with this week?
So Friday night, I've went the Dogs over Melbourne, Gold Coast over the Eagles. Saturday, I've went North Melbourne over Richmond, Geelong over the Crows, Collingwood over Carlton, Port Adelaide over Sydney. And on Sunday, I went the Giants over the Hawks, the Dockers over the Bombers, and the Lions to beat the Saints.
So I think we've got 2 or 3 different this week. So we've gone Collingwood and Carlton different, GWS and Hawthorn different, and have you gone Fremantle?
Yes.
You've gone Fremantle. Okay, so we'll go through 3 games this week. We'll start with Collingwood versus Carlton. What a massive game this is. Really unfortunate we're going to miss this one, because we'll be at the Swans Port game, of course. But Scott Pendlebury's 400th game, Carlton versus Collingwood, old rivals. What a game this is going to be. Why have you gone Collingwood? Because you'd think there'd be pretty big outsiders in this one.
Yeah, I have, but I think that a lot of it is to do with Scotty Pendlebury's 400th. I think that it's the home game for Collingwood, 95,000. I think they'll play for it. At the moment, I think that because De Koning is out, Cameron seems to be doing a lot better at the moment. I think the fact is that Mason Cox, with the duo that they're both of them, I think they can a good job in there.
think they can beat Mark Pitner,
Yeah,
run him around a bit.
Yeah, and also I think their small forwards are doing better than...
Well, one thing on Collingwood's side is the fact that Carlton have been in and out of form the last month or so as well. I guess it's been overshadowed by the Swans a little bit because the Swans have obviously been up top for so long, but their form hasn't been much better, Carlton. But I just think that Collingwood, I don't think they'd even have much expectations to even be close to winning this game if it wasn't for their big win against Richmond last week. I feel like Carlton have enough there to win. And I think the chin cotter probably goes to Nick Dacos as well. I feel like even though he hasn't done it a lot the last couple of weeks, I feel like this is a job that he's going to have to do. And I feel like that's where they're going to shut him down. The one thing is Carlton can't do, though, is what they did against Port Adelaide last week. And in the second half, just bomb it on top of Charlie Curnow's head. Yeah, I think Harry McCall will probably be back this week as well, just to help out Charlie a bit more. So Collingwood probably won't have the easiness of double-teaming Charlie Curnow. I think Carlton will win this game. After that, we get to Port Adelaide against the Swans. And do you think you'd be picking Port Adelaide if Sydney were in the form they were at the start of the year?
No way. No way in hell. If this was before the bye, there's no way I'll be tipping Port Adelaide at the moment.
You know, despite both teams' form, Sydney, I can't remember the last time they beat Port Adelaide.
The last 5 times Port's beaten them.
Okay, well, we don't have to brag about it.
Just want to put that,
Just want to put it out there.
Just want to put that out there.
Now, me and you will both be at this game, so great stuff. If you see us there, guys, give us a big wave.
Yeah.
This is a big game for Sydney because they need to win this game. The only win they've had in the past, 4 or 5 weeks is against North Melbourne, and Sydney desperately need a win here. Now, James Rowbottom should be back. Which would, thank God. Brody Grundy could be out, though. There have been questions of maybe he'll be rested. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Port Adelaide...
Can they afford to do that, though?
Oh, they're 6 points up on top of the ladder. I'm sure they can for a week.
Yeah.
Peter Laddams probably comes in. He had a pretty decent VFL game. Todd Marshall's been questioned if he'll be in this week, though. It could be a bit of an injury concern on his side, which would definitely help Sydney because their defence is obviously been hampered. And Melican will probably be out this week as well. With a hamstring injury, which is disappointing for Sydney, but that probably means that either Aaron Francis comes in. Do you think Port Adelaide should be going in as favourites here?
I think it's very hard to give a favourite for this game. I think that Port Adelaide played really well last week with a different looking forward line with Radicalier up there with Georgiadis and Dixon. But does the fact is that Marshall likely comes back in, throw that out. Does Radicalier go back now? Because I don't think he can possibly do that.
Well, I think Dixon, eventually when he does retire, at least they do have a replacement that Radicalier could go up forward. He obviously started his career at the Cats as a forward. They obviously tried to put him back to try and get him in the team, which never really worked out. Even though I think he's played at times good in defence, but there's also times when you're like parting your throat kind of stuff, like don't get him anywhere near the football.
Yeah.
So the one thing that Port Adelaide will have is they can stretch Sydney for their forward line with their tolls. Because if they do send up Radicalier and Dixon, McCartan will be there, but Rampy probably won't be back this week.
Yeah.
So that's something where they can stretch them. Like, I still think this is a 50-50 game, but Sydney aren't playing well at the moment. So I would like to think that I go on Adelaide Oval on Saturday night, walk home with a win. But right now, I'm not very confident. And then the other game we're going to take a look at, the last one, which was the Giants up against Hawthorn. This is at Manuka Oval. Massive game. Obviously, they did meet earlier in the year down in Tassie, and Hawthorn won that game over a dubious controversial call. Why are you on the Giants here? Is it because it's in Sydney?
Yeah, I think Hogan seems to play a lot better when they're at home. Even though it is at Manuka, they don't play there as often as they do at NG Stadium. But I think the last 5 times they've played, the home team has won. So I think the home team will win. They seem to be playing a lot better. Tom Green looks like he's got back to the season starting form that he had. I think they're saying Sam Taylor should be back. Probably taking Kalshavir. To be honest, with the experience that he has, should really dominate.
I've gone Hawthorn pretty similar to why I did last week against the Crows, and why I was pretty happy with that.
Just having some fun.
Well, they're having some fun. They're in hot form, and their culture that they're building off their youth is so infectious, I think. Why wouldn't you want to be a part of it? Why wouldn't you want to keep on going with this form? There's no angriness or anything when someone makes a mistake. They're always up and about. And obviously, it's a little bit easier to be doing that when you're winning. Yeah. But I don't see this team losing right now. Even though they're playing against the Giants, who have been in some decent form. This is a really good game to watch. It may even be a game that I stream on Sunday, depending on how I feel after the Swans game on the Saturday night. We'll see how we go. But it's basically all the tips we have for this week, guys. Let's look at the AFL tipping comp, of course, for our channel. We'll be doing one next year as well, so don't you worry. Brandon S. still holds the lead. He is out by 7 now. Massive performance from him. He has jumped 122 tips, and second is Paul on 115. I've dropped down by 1 position this week. I'm still on the same amount of points as the guy in front of me, but he's got a better margin or whatever. So Brett just jumped into 3rd spot. I am in 4th. You are in 8th spot, so you're 12 points off the pace. Maybe clutch it from the back. I don't think so. I'm 10 points off the pace. Right now we have a new bottom place. It is Johnny C, the Fevolutionized. I remember this guy was right at the top, but he had a dismal week. He went for glory. Unfortunately, you got to respect it from Johnny. He went for glory, but he only got 3 tips. So he went for a couple of roughies. But to be fair, the person who finished, who was bottom, which was Brooke, got the most amount in the whole league last week with 7.
Yeah.
So she went big.
She was lucky. I'm pretty sure tipped poor at the start of the week to start off the week.
Yeah, I'll have a quick look. So Brooke went with Port Adelaide to start the week. She picked Brisbane. She didn't pick St Kilda. I should have picked St Kilda, dude. I'm so angry at myself that I didn't do that. I thought, and I was like, no, I'm not going to be stupid. And I was stupid not to pick him. Who else did she pick? She also picked Hawthorn at the end of the round. But that was kind of a 50-50 sort of game.
But I was the lucky one.
You
and the dogs.
Well, you and Brendan as well. You and Brendan picked top. But yeah. Anyway, guys, the tipping ladder this week. Brendan still sits on top. Basically, same old story. We're getting a bit boring at this point. Yeah, but I'm sure he's loving it. That's basically all we have for the AFL tipping comp this week, guys. So finally, before we end the podcast, we'll be getting into our AFL fantasy breakdown over the weekend. So I had a poor week on the fact that I scored very low. I scored 2,239. Very poor, really. That's one of the lowest scores you'll see. That was ranked 36,748 overall. Looking at it, though, some good performances. I brought in Ed Richards late last week. I had to make a huge amount of changes because of all the team news that came out and all the players that got in and out.
McCurch was the one that stuffed mine around.
Yeah, I know. Fucking comes in for 2 weeks being brilliant, then just gets taken out again. So I had to get Ed Richards. He scored 114. I was happy with that. Sheasel, as always, 118. Brilliant. Nick Dacos, 128 as well. Clayton Oliver, really good performance from him with the 100. Tom Green with the 105. Brody Grundy, 109, did enough. Dane Zorko, 139, was good. And then Sam Flanders, who was my captain, 113. And then Isaac Heaney with the 108. So had some good performances on there. But did have some bad performances. Marcus Bontempelli only got 81. You would expect him to do better, especially when they were winning. Connor Rosie only got 75. That was disappointing. Even Zach Butters with 92. I thought he'd be doing better than that. Nick Martin, 87. Expecting more. I brought in Oscar McInerney in the ruck because I really didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough to get up to the cherries and the top ones. I had to go for someone like that. Going for a bit of a lucky pick because the Koning was out. Because I went for, which was a good pick at first glance when I first picked him, but fucking dumb in the end. And Oscar Macken only got 74. And then in my forward line, Caldwell did poorly, only got 72. So that was a little bit disappointing. But looking at my trades for this week, Logan Evans out. I've got rid of him, and I've picked up Bailey Laurie, and I've got rid of Darcy Wilson, and I've picked up Cam Rayner. So I've finally got my forward line fully done. At this point, it's taken me till fucking round 20, but I've fucking done it all. So because of that trade, I've actually still got 209k still in the kitty, which is good to see. I'll be able to do some stuff with my team next week. Probably try and get Clayton Oliver out, even though he's done pretty well for me. That's probably the one trade I have to do. Or I'll even get rid of Oscar McInerney. I only had him for a week. But my team's pretty well set for finals. And we'll get to our league in a minute, but we'll take a look at your team quickly. So how did you go this week?
For the last week, I actually did really well. I got 2,442, which was ranked just over 5,000. Had some good scores in like Sheasel, 118, Sinclair, 104, Ed Richards, 114, Sarong with 100, Golden, first week in the team for 114, Neil, 129. I picked Jerry as my VC with 156, so 312. I was ecstatic about that. Yeah. And I didn't really have any bad scores this week. Like, all my players got over 70. Like, my two rookies that I still had in my team were Dowling and Humphreys with 72 and 73, but my worst score was Caldwell with 72. So, to be honest, I had a really good week.
Alright, what are you on with your trades?
My trades this week.
Stop sucking yourself off.
Yeah.
What did you get?
I got rid of Logan Evans and I got Dan Curtin.
Yeah.
And I got rid of Dowling and I got Dylan Moore. So I did finally set up my forward line. So it took me like
the same amount of time.
But which is really disappointing because I think if I did that, I would be making finals this year. But
we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. So how much money you got left now? Is that all your kitty basically burned on?
I've still got 40k on bank. So next week I can get rid of players. I'm probably going to get rid of, to be honest, Will Day. Like he was firing in that first half. He was on like 50.
Yeah, he was very high.
Like close to 60. He finished on 84.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what's happened to him, but he just seems like he has a really good first half and then he just peters out.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our AFL Fantasy League, which is still part of the channel. And I almost clawed my way from 12th last week into the finals. I almost got there. I finished 9th in the end.
You missed what, 0.35? That's harsh.
I know, it's very harsh. If I actually scored a decent score, 2,200 is not the greatest.
If you had my team, then you probably do make it, I reckon.
Yeah, let's not just rub it in. So what happened was, basically, I was playing against a low team. They only scored 1,647. So it was basically a percentage boosting week for me, which almost got me there. It jumped me all the way from 12th to 9th position. I was close to jumping into the finals race because everything went my way. Everyone else lost that was in front of me. And 8th position lost as well. But I just couldn't get there in the end. I missed out by 0.35% like you just mentioned. So unfortunately, I'm in the losers finals bracket, unfortunately. So looking at it though, let's take a look at the ladder at the end of the minor rounds because we're still going to keep an eye on it. Shillings for Billings top the table. So they are on top, starting his first seed going into the finals. We have Brad SCG, who was on top for most of the season. He's in second spot. Fifenator in third. Grundy's Undies in fourth. A little bit of movement in the top 8 as well. We had Dave's Diggers jump into 5th spot and jump over the top of Inverted Banana into 6th. Seymour Bush, great name. I hope he wins. He finished 7th. And then the guy who I just missed out on beating, Serial Squirrel Grippers, finished in 8th spot. So looking at it right now, that is the finals for them. So that means in the first round of the finals, in the qualifying finals, we have Shillings for Billings up against Grundy's Undies and Brad SCG up against the Fifenator. And in the elimination finals, we have Dave's Diggers up against Squirrel Grippers and Inverted Banana up against Seymour Bush. Sorry to Graham, who is Inverted Banana, but I really hope that Seymour Bush takes it out from there. And moving into the losers bracket, me and you. So first game is in the... I don't even want to call it the fucking qualifying final, but fucking
consolation finals.
Yeah, the consolation finals they call it. That's a really nice way of saying the losers bracket. I play you.
Yeah,
so
well,
home game, CG for me, I guess. It's interesting.
Isn't it funny? The first week, the finals is also Sydney v Port this week.
Yeah, well, hopefully we win it all. So we got that, and then Pram Dog up against Kegger Boom is the other one, and then in the elimination finals on the losers bracket, we have K Dog up against Cardman, who was the guy I played last week. I don't think he's really doing it anymore, and Paul's Vikings up against the West Coast Simpson. So interesting enough, so 17th and 18th, really disappointing. They don't actually get to compete in any of them. They just get completely disregarded. Me and you, I almost tried to fly the flag for the channel. Almost fly the flag.
Well, let's get to last week for me. Last week, I played Brad SCG. He got 2,475.
Yeah, that would have been one of the top scores.
He got the highest score of the week.
In the league, yeah.
Yeah, in the league. And I got the 4th highest score of the week, equal with Shillings for Billings.
Yeah, so the guy's on top currently.
So, really...
If you won that game, you'd be playing finals.
The only reason I see how I lost that game was the fact is that he got the 2nd highest scorer in Dane Zorko as his VC. And he took that score like he would have.
Didn't you have
But
Cherry?
I had Jerry. But if he has any other person... Really, I win.
You can feel the salt burning through the microphone, can't you, guys?
To be honest, so really,
he's been studying it all weekend.
and really, to be honest, the only other score that he had bad was Rosie. Like, there was a unique player.
Yeah.
Because I had Humphreys and Dowling, but he had Rosie, who only got 7-5.
Yeah.
So that was where I also lost it. But I still got 2400.
Yeah.
So I can't really be mad. But if I played
even though I finished ninth, I'm going to say it right now, I feel like I'm going out straight sets. I feel like...
You really think you're going to go bang bang?
Because looking at it right now, looking at the last week, the teams that who made the losers bracket, Pram Dog, he got 2,368. Kega Boom got 2,280. Who else did they have? They had K Dog, who's playing an elimination final down the bottom, got 2,396. West Coast Simpson, in the ladder he finished 15th. He got 2,458 from 15th position.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I was very underestimated of people who watch this channel. I thought they were all fucking AFL, knew the AFL but didn't play AFL fantasy. So I was fucking wrong. I feel like I'm gonna get destroyed. So now, unless I beat you. If I beat you, I may get a bit lucky. But I need to beat you, and that's the thing. Unfortunately, guys, if you don't know the law of this channel, or before we did this channel, you basically copied my team for years. That's what he did this year as well, but then he's just made a couple of lucky
The last 2 years,
it's not intentional, I wouldn't say.
In the overall ladder, I've beaten you the last 2 years.
Yeah, but before that, I think we started in 2015. I think it was the Gold Coast first. Not 2015. No.
2015. 2014, I think it was. We started.
Yeah, it would have been earlier on. I feel like it was just after the Gold Coast and the Giants joined the league competition. So yeah, I think that's when I dominated. When we actually started like caring about it. Not, I think the first year we did it with our granddad. But yeah, I think that was like the first time I used to flog you every single time. But yeah, now you've actually caught up with me, so I need to start actually preparing a little bit better for my team, guys.
To be honest, it's helped that I look, because I get like the premium shit and I look at the best informed players and.
You pay
I pay more attention and I look at the matchups and I look at that more like.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I'm doing all the channel stuff, you're actually just AFL fantasy studying.
Yeah, you look at the Ruckman last week and Jerry playing all that. So I've been more into this the last couple of years than I have in previous years. Yeah, to keep an eye on it.
Oh, well, good on you. At least you'll beat me. Well, we'll see who wins this week, guys. It's the Boundary Riders Cup in the AFL games, of course. Swans up against Port Adelaide. I hope the Swans win. God, I fucking hope we win. Fucking me. Last 4 years, you've had the wood over me. So, fucking, hopefully the Swans can pull that out.
Anybody going to be at the game will be near the hill end, so near the Swans fans.
Yeah, you'll probably see me screaming. I'm a fucking terrible fan. And there's a lifelong lesson to end the episode. If you go to the football and you get angry at people getting loud, not if you yell like fucking abuse at a person or say something racial or something so fucking stupid, fuck off. But if you're just yelling at the football and you get angry sitting there, don't come near me because you're not gonna like me, okay? And you're an asshole as well. Just watch it at home if you don't like fucking crowd noise, alright? So that's the lifelong lesson. If you go to the football, let all your stresses out and just fucking have a good time. That's what I usually do. That's what you usually do. And that's what everyone should fucking do.
And that's what we'll be doing Saturday night.
Well, hopefully I'm screaming a little bit more in joy and going, oh, for fuck's sake. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thank you for watching this week. If you watch this over on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, of course. And over on Spotify, we're starting to grow a lot more as well. I think the last few episodes have been getting like top rated for our video podcast or review watches or whatever. So if you are over there, make sure to leave us 5 stars because I asked nicely. I like to say that. And make sure to follow so you're notified on the review, the podcast, and the trade videos that we drop. And I also think now, I'm unsure if you can do it. If you can't, sorry. I think you can actually leave comments now on Spotify. So if you do actually want to leave a comment, make sure to leave one. As long as it's nice, let's just put it that way. Don't be an arsehole. I mean, you can if you want. But just, leave a comment. Say if you're enjoying the show, join the podcast, whatever. But yeah, that's basically where we'll leave it, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.